Have you ever walked into a room full of people and still felt completely alone? That heavy silence inside you isn't because you're weak, it's because you're different. And that difference doesn't make you less, it makes you chosen. The world doesn't see it yet, but deep down, you've always known. There's something in you that doesn't fit the mold, something that separates you from the noise, something that makes you question, wonder, and feel in ways most people never do. That something is the reason you feel so disconnected, but it's also the reason you're meant for more. If you've been feeling broken, if you've been walking this road alone, stay with this message till the end, because what you're going to discover might be the reason your entire life has felt so different, and by the time you reach the last word, you won't see your pain the same way again. Loneliness isn't just an absence of people, it's the presence of truth no one else seems to carry. It's the deep knowing in your bones that your life is meant for something bigger, but no one around you understands it. You look around and people are busy fitting in, chasing trends, blending in with the crowd, and you've been searching for something real. That search isolates you, not because you want to be alone, but because surface level just doesn't feed your soul. It's not that you don't want connection. You crave it more than anyone. You're built for depth, for purpose, for impact, but shallow conversations drain you. Small talk feels like noise, pretending to be someone you're not just to be accepted. That's not in your nature. And that's why you often feel like you're on the outside looking in, like there's a wall between you and the world, and no one knows how to break through it. But here's the truth. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. Most people are afraid of their own thoughts. They run from silence, distract themselves with chaos, numb their feelings just to get through the day. But you've faced yourself in the quiet. You've sat with your thoughts in the dark. You've battled emotions that others never dare to acknowledge. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. Chosen ones carry a frequency that others don't understand. You walk into a room and your energy speaks before you do. You sense things, feel things, pick up on people's pain, even when they hide it behind a smile. Your empathy isn't weakness, it's power, but that power comes with a price, because when you feel everything, you carry everything, and sometimes that weight becomes too much. You've been called too emotional, too sensitive, or too intense. But you're not too much. You're just surrounded by people who are too little for the depth of your soul. You're not broken. You're breaking free from everything that isn't aligned with your purpose. And that's never a comfortable process. Growth never is. Loneliness is a part of the process, not a punishment, but a preparation. Life isolates you so it can awaken you, so it can strip away the noise, the distractions, the illusions, and bring you face to face with who you really are. In those silent nights, when you question everything, when the tears fall with no one to catch them, that's when the shift happens. That's when something inside you begins to rise. You weren't created to follow paths. You were made to build them. But to build something new, you have to first detach from everything old, every false identity, every toxic connection, every part of you that was shaped just to be accepted by people who never really saw you. That disconnection, that breaking, that isolation, it's not destruction, it's transformation. You've been pulled away not because you don't belong, but because you do, just not where you've been. You belong to something greater, something higher, and that calling doesn't come with comfort. It comes with chaos. It shakes your life up. It strips everything familiar. It tears you down, only to rebuild you from the foundation up. The pain you feel is not random. The heaviness in your chest, the ache in your soul, the confusion in your mind, it all has meaning. You're not alone because you're unworthy. You're alone because you're awakening. You're waking up to truths that most people never see in their entire lifetime. And that makes you rare. That makes you powerful. That makes you chosen. This path is not easy, but it's real. And real is what you were made for. You don't need fixing. You need understanding. You don't need more people. You need more purpose. The world may not understand your silence, but one day they'll feel your impact. Because those who walk alone often leave the deepest footprints. There were signs early on, but no one taught you how to read them. The discomfort in crowds, the deep thoughts that kept you awake as a child, the urge to question everything while others blindly followed. You weren't rebellious, you were awake, you weren't difficult, you were discerning. But when you're young and don't have the words for what you're feeling, that inner awareness can feel like a curse. You start to believe that something's wrong with you, when in reality something powerful is waking up inside you. The world around you seemed loud, fake, rushed. While everyone else ran toward approval, you stood still, not because you didn't want to be loved, but because your soul refused to shrink just to fit into places that lacked truth. That's not something you chose. It's something built into your wiring. You're not here to mimic others, you're here to awaken them. And that awakening starts with your own pain. When others laughed, you observed. When they chased trends, you searched for meaning. Your mind wandered into places most people are too afraid to explore. You saw through the masks. You sensed the lies. And even when you tried to ignore it, you couldn't unsee what your soul already knew. That clarity came at a cost. Isolation. Because when you see through illusions, you naturally separate from those still trapped inside them. People often mistook your quietness for weakness. But silence doesn't mean emptiness. It means depth. It means you're processing on levels they can't imagine. You were never meant to join the noise. You were meant to be the voice that rises above it, even when no one listens at first, even when it feels like no one ever will. You started life feeling like an outsider, but that wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You were never just born into this world. You were sent to break cycles, to shift energy, to bring light into dark places. And that kind of mission doesn't come with comfort. It comes with fire. But the same fire that isolates you is the one that forges your purpose. Every time someone walked away, every time a door closed, every time you felt abandoned, it wasn't the end. It was a reroute. Life wasn't rejecting you. It was guiding you, pushing you away from people who couldn't see your worth and pulling you towards something greater. Rejection has never been about loss. It's always been about redirection. But when your heart is soft and your love is deep, those losses don't feel like guidance. They feel like heartbreak. You gave your best to people who only saw parts of you. You tried to shrink your light just to make others comfortable. But no matter how much you bent, it was never enough. And it never would have been. Because the spaces you were trying to fit into weren't built to hold someone like you. You weren't made for average. You weren't made for small talk and shallow connections. You were made for depth, for realness, for purpose. So when life started removing people, situations, and comforts, you felt like it was falling apart. But it wasn't. It was falling into place. You were being stripped of the noise, the distractions, the illusions. You were being reminded of who you are. And who you are has nothing to do with who stayed or who left. Your value isn't based on how many people love you. It's based on how much truth you carry. And sometimes, truth scares people. You were never broken by rejection. You were being reshaped by it. Because every time someone walked away, you became stronger. Every time you faced disappointment, you became wiser. And every time your heart cracked open, more light came in. The world didn't give you your identity, so it can't take it away. You've been chosen not to be accepted, but to be awakened, to be refined, to become someone that no one saw coming. The pain that felt like it was destroying you was actually delivering you to your higher self. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. Pain doesn't visit you by accident. It's not a punishment. It's a teacher. The deepest lessons in life don't come from comfort. They come from discomfort. And the ones who are chosen, the ones who carry a calling, are always given the hardest assignments. Not because they deserve the struggle, but because they're strong enough to grow through it. Life doesn't build warriors in safe spaces. It builds them in storms. There's a kind of pain that breaks you open in a way nothing else can. It forces you to look at the pieces of yourself you used to hide. It makes you confront the wounds, the memories, the insecurities you buried so deep you forgot they were even there. And that's when the real transformation begins. Not when you avoid the pain, but when you lean into it, when you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this trying to show me? You see, pain sharpens your vision. It strips away the lies you've been told and the lies you've told yourself. It wakes you up to who you really are. Not who the world said you should be, but who you were always meant to become. That awakening doesn't come through ease. It comes through fire. And the fire doesn't burn you, it refines you. The people who walk through fire come out with a strength you can't fake. They develop compassion that can't be taught in books. They gain wisdom that only pain can unlock. That's why your story is so different. Because you've been in places that broke you, and yet here you are. Still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That's not weakness, that's power. Pain didn't destroy you, it revealed you. It exposed the survivor in you, the creator, the healer. And even though it left scars, those scars are your proof. Proof that you've lived, proof that you've grown, proof that you've been trusted with a purpose that pain had to prepare you for. When life pulls you away from the noise, it's not trying to punish you. It's trying to prepare you. Silence is where chosen ones are shaped. In the quiet, away from the world's distractions, something powerful starts to grow. That space where no one is watching, where no one is clapping, where no one is validating your steps. That's where your inner power begins to rise. It's not the stage that defines you. It's the solitude that reveals you. In solitude, you're forced to meet yourself. No filters, no distractions, just raw truth. And for most people, that's terrifying. But for you, it's necessary. Because greatness doesn't grow in crowds. It grows in the quiet grind, the late nights, the deep thoughts, the self-confrontation. You begin to realize your strength isn't in how loud you are. It's in how deeply you know yourself when no one else understands. When you spend time alone, something begins to shift. Your thoughts sharpen, your vision clears. You begin to hear your own voice louder than the opinions of others. And that voice, the one that's been buried under years of noise and doubt, starts to speak with power. That voice is your truth. That voice is your calling. Solitude trains the chosen ones for what's coming. It strengthens their resilience. It deepens their wisdom. It gives them the ability to stand firm even when the world pushes back. Because when you've faced your own demons in silence, there's not much left to fear in the outside world. You stop chasing approval. You stop begging to be seen. You become enough on your own. This world teaches you to fear being alone. But loneliness and solitude are not the same. One is emptiness, the other is awakening. Chosen ones don't just survive solitude, they transform in it. Because that quiet space, it's not empty, it's full of your future, full of your potential, full of the version of you the world hasn't met yet. The reason you break isn't because you're weak, it's because you feel. And when you feel everything so deeply, the world can become overwhelming. You carry emotions most people avoid. You absorb energies most don't even notice. You're not just affected by your own pain. You're affected by the pain around you. That's what makes your heart heavy. That's what makes your journey harder. But that's also what makes your presence healing. You notice the hurt behind a smile. You sense the tension in a room. You hear what people aren't saying. And you carry all of it in silence, thinking maybe something's wrong with you. But nothing's wrong. You're just built differently. Built with a heart that doesn't shut down. Built with a spirit that refuses to go numb. While others turn away, you lean in. While others escape, you face what hurts. This depth is a rare gift, but it can feel like a curse. Because most people don't know how to handle that kind of presence. They don't understand why you care so much. Why you cry when no one else does. Why you hurt even when it's not your pain. But the truth is, your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's your power. And yes, it comes with tears, with heartbreak, with exhaustion. But it also comes with insight, with compassion, with strength no one sees. You're the one who stays up thinking about others long after they've forgotten about you. You're the one who listens without needing to respond. You're the one who walks into someone's life and leaves them changed, even if they never say it out loud. That kind of impact doesn't come from surface emotions. It comes from deep awareness, from the kind of soul that doesn't look away when things get real. So when you break, understand this. It's not because you're fragile. It's because your soul refuses to become hardened. And in a world that teaches people to disconnect, your ability to feel is a revolution. When your mind sees deeper and your heart feels stronger, You're bound to be misunderstood. You speak with honesty in a world full of masks. You crave realness in a society built on surface. And because of that, most people won't get you. They'll misread your silence. They'll misjudge your passion. They'll label your intensity as too much when really it's their comfort with smallness that's being threatened. You were never made to fit in. You were made to question, to challenge, to elevate. That kind of energy disrupts the norm. It shakes people awake, and not everyone wants to be awakened. Some would rather stay asleep because sleep is easier than truth. So they'll push you away, not because of who you are, but because of what you reflect. Your very presence becomes a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see themselves. You've probably been called difficult, dramatic, or overly emotional, but those words aren't about you. They're projections. Reactions from people who don't know how to handle the kind of soul that refuses to be fake. Your emotional honesty forces others to confront what they've buried. And that kind of light, it makes shadows uncomfortable, so you find yourself alone, not because you lack connection, but because your standards are different. You don't want shallow attention. You want depth, truth, meaning. And that's not something you find in every room. It's rare, just like you. That rarity often leads to isolation, but it also leads to clarity, because the more you're misunderstood by the world, the more you're pushed back to yourself. And there, in the quiet corners of your soul, you find the understanding you've been looking for. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to stay true to yourself, because one day, those same people who couldn't handle your depth will wish they had your courage. The courage to feel. The courage to stand alone. The courage to be real in a world that rewards pretending. There's a reason life feels heavier for you. It's because your battles are not ordinary. You weren't sent here for comfort. You were sent for transformation. The path you walk is filled with more struggle, more questioning, more resistance, because you're not just carrying your own weight. You're breaking cycles. You're shifting generations. And that kind of mission doesn't come with ease. It comes with pressure. You face things others couldn't survive. You've been handed pain that would have crushed weaker spirits. But somehow, even through the chaos, you kept going. Not because it was easy, but because something inside you refused to give up. That something is your purpose, and the stronger the purpose, the harder the path. You were never meant for a normal life because your impact was never meant to be small. Most people don't see the war behind your smile. They don't see the nights you cried in silence, the days you moved forward with a heart full of doubt, the moments you kept showing up when you felt like disappearing. But those moments built you. They carved depth into your soul. They made you stronger, wiser, more resilient than you realize. This life doesn't just happen to you. It shapes you. Every loss, every betrayal, every closed door, it all becomes fuel. You weren't being torn apart. You were being rebuilt. Reconstructed into someone who doesn't break when life gets hard, someone who leads by example, someone who shines even in darkness. That's who you're becoming. That's who you already are. The chosen ones aren't handed peace. They're handed purpose. And purpose demands everything. Your patience, your strength, your courage. That's why you feel the weight so deeply. Not because you're weak, but because your soul is strong enough to hold it. The pain didn't come to crush you. It came to remind you of the fire that's always been burning inside you. The moments you felt broken weren't the end of you. They were the beginning. Life has a strange way of forcing rebirth. It takes everything familiar, everything comfortable, and strips it away. Not to destroy you, but to reveal what's been hidden underneath all along. And when you reach that breaking point, when you feel like there's nothing left, that's when something new starts to rise. That's when your breakthrough is born. There's a silence that comes after a breakdown, a moment when you no longer have the energy to pretend, to perform, or to hold it all together. And in that silence, something real begins to speak. It's not loud, but it's clear. It's the voice of your soul, the part of you that's been waiting for the noise to fade so it can finally be heard. That voice doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. It doesn't scream for approval. It stands in truth. Most people fear falling apart, but chosen ones, they learn to embrace it, because breaking down is how they break through. It's how they let go of false identities, outdated beliefs, and everything that no longer serves them. It's a shedding process. Painful, yes, but necessary. You don't become your highest self by holding on to who you used to be. You become it by surrendering to who you're meant to become. You've been through enough to know that rock bottom is not the end. It's a solid place to rebuild. It's the foundation for something real. And when you rise, you don't come back the same. You come back clearer, wiser, more powerful. You come back with battle scars that tell a story, not of defeat, but of resilience. And that story becomes your strength. You didn't come this far to give up now. You've walked through fire and you're still here. That's not weakness, that's proof. Proof that even when life breaks you, your spirit remembers how to rise. Greatness has a price, and that price is often loneliness. It's the quiet cost that chosen ones pay for carrying a light so bright it blinds those around them. When you decide to walk your own path, you step away from the crowd. You trade comfort for clarity. You exchange approval for authenticity. And in doing so, you accept that solitude will be your closest companion. Loneliness is not a punishment. It's a part of the process. It's the space where you discover who you are when no one else is watching. It's where you learn to depend on yourself when the world seems to turn its back. It's where you build resilience not from the applause of others, but from the steady beat of your own heart. The world isn't designed for those who dare to be different. It's built to keep things the way they are. So when you choose to rise, you automatically create distance. People may not understand your vision, your intensity, or your refusal to settle for less. That's because they are still caught in comfort. But you're uncomfortable with mediocrity. You're restless for more. And that restlessness naturally creates separation. It's in that separation that you find your true strength. Because when you're alone, you're forced to face your fears, your doubts, your shadows. And when you face those parts of yourself head on, you become unstoppable. You learn that your value doesn't depend on external validation. It depends on your inner truth. And that truth will never leave you lonely. It will lead you home. So embrace the solitude. Don't fear the silence. Because in that quiet space, your greatness is quietly growing. You are not alone in your loneliness. You are becoming. The world will often try to dim the light inside you, not because your fire is dangerous, but because it's unfamiliar. People fear what they don't understand. And when you shine differently, that fear can turn into resistance. Systems, traditions, even those closest to you, may unintentionally try to silence your voice, soften your edge, or shrink your presence. But pressure doesn't weaken chosen ones, it strengthens them. When the world pushes back, it's a sign you're moving in the right direction. Like a diamond that forms under intense heat and pressure, your true brilliance is revealed through trials. Every challenge, every obstacle, every moment when you feel crushed under expectation is actually a shaping force. It's refining your character, deepening your resolve, and carving out space for your greatness. Those who are chosen don't just survive pressure, they use it as fuel. They learn to bend without breaking, to keep moving forward when others would stop, to shine brighter when the darkness tries to swallow them. That's not luck. It's resilience born from pain and purpose. The world might not always recognize your light now, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep feeding it, protecting it, and letting it grow. The fire inside you has a destiny. It's meant to light the way, not just for yourself, but for others who are lost in the dark. The stronger the pressure, the stronger the light. So when the world tries to dim you, remember the heat is shaping you into something unbreakable. Your brilliance is not an accident, it's a process. And the pressure you feel is proof that you're on the path to becoming unstoppable. Every moment of pain you've endured holds a purpose far greater than you realize. The loneliness, the heartbreak, the struggle, they are not random trials, but sacred fuel for the change you are meant to bring into this world. Your journey isn't about comfort or ease, it's about transformation. The wounds you carry will one day become the wings that lift you higher than you ever imagined. Those who are chosen walk paths others fear to take. They carry burdens that weigh heavy on the heart, but these burdens awaken a strength others never know. The pain you have felt will become the fire that lights the way for others lost in darkness. Your story, once marked by brokenness, will become a beacon of hope and healing. It is through your own healing that you will help heal the world. People don't change because they are comfortable. They change because someone shows them it's possible to rise from pain. Your scars will speak louder than any words. They will tell the story of resilience, courage, and unwavering faith. The world needs your voice, your light, your example more than ever. Your brokenness is not a flaw. It is the foundation for greatness. Every tear you shed watered the seeds of your purpose. Every lonely night prepared you for the mission ahead. You were not made to fade away quietly. You were made to shine so brightly that your light awakens others. This world needs your pain to be transformed into power. Remember, you are not here by accident. You were chosen, not in spite of your struggles, but because of them. Your journey, with all its loneliness and brokenness, is the very thing that will shape you into the healer, the leader, the force of change the world so desperately needs.